Hello, welcome to the Real English, Real America show. I'm AJ Hogue.
Hi, I'm Kristen Dodds.
And today we're talking about dating in America, the real story. Now, the Hollywood version of dating in America is this. Sexy women are in a bar, and they're all hanging out together and drinking. And then our hero, the guy, looks across the bar, sees some gorgeous woman, walks over to her. He says something clever and funny to get her attention. Then they start chatting and flirting. They have a few drinks together. And then they end up going home, and usually they have sex together. And this is the passionate, sexy start of their relationship. And this sort of scene is common on television shows and movies. The question, however, is that how it usually works? Is that how dating usually happens in the United States? Is that how people meet their boyfriends and girlfriends? Kristen, let's talk about that. How did you meet your last boyfriend, for example, before Joe?
Well, there I was on Bangkok, on Khao San Road in Bangkok when we were living there, and I was, Khao San Road being a very touristy area. I was just walking around looking at different people selling things and stopped at Watt's little area where he was selling jewelry.
That's his name, Watt, right?
Watt, exactly. And I really liked his jewelry. So I didn't buy anything. I spoke to him a little bit. I ended up going back the next night. I took some of my own jewelry and I was trying to trade him for some of his. So it was some jewelry that I didn't really want anymore, and I didn't really necessarily have enough money to buy his jewelry that I wanted, so I was trying to do a trade, and he was pretty amused by it. Didn't work out though, but I was amazed to find out that he actually made this jewelry by hand, this silver jewelry, and I didn't believe him, so he invited me to his house to see where he actually made the jewelry, and I went and saw the whole process, and we just started getting to know each other.
Interesting. So, no bars, no alcohol, nothing like that.
No. I mean, as we're getting to know each other, we went out to a bar or two and had a drink together, but that's not how we met, no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that, so that's kind of a common way people meet, in the sense that you first met in a non-dating situation. You were chatting about jewelry, and then you went back, you saw him again a second time, then you got together for the purpose of seeing his jewelry. It wasn't really like an official date where you went to a restaurant or something. And so it kind of happened over time, over several meetings, that you went from just being acquaintances or friends, and then gradually it became more of a dating situation.
Exactly. It started out as an acquaintance, and then, we started becoming friends, and pretty quickly it became romantic, but it was so casual. There was never any nervousness, really. It just naturally happened.
Yeah, right. I see. And I think that's probably more common, that in the United States, although it's not as exciting, the Hollywood image is very exaggerated. But what usually happens is that people meet each other in a much more casual, relaxed way, where, like you guys, you just start chatting, and then it kind of just grows. Things seem to develop, over some time. Maybe that's over a few visits, a few days, or maybe a few weeks, or it may develop slowly over even a few months. It depends on the situation, but it's not usually as dramatic as some guy, walking across a room to someone he doesn't know at all, and then somehow charming her, in a very short time, and then wow, boom, they're dating, or boom, they're having sex, or something like that. I mean, that does happen, of course, but it's not the usual way.
It's not the common. It's not the common way. The most known way. No. Well, why don't you talk about, AJ, how you met your high school girlfriend, Jessica?
Okay, yeah. So my first girlfriend, I met through a friend. So a guy friend of mine at the time. It was during the summer, and a guy friend of mine said, "Oh, hey, there's this new girl moved into my neighborhood." So I went over and just hung out with him as usual, and then he introduced me to her. And for a while, we were all just, kind of friends together. We just hung out together. There wasn't any romantic thing happening. I was attracted to her, but we didn't do any dates or anything for that probably went on for a couple weeks. And then gradually, I got to know her more and became more attracted to her, and she to me also. And then at some point, we finally talked and, realized, oh, well, I like you, you like me, let's date. Again, it was, as you said, kind of a natural, organic process where it wasn't so dramatic, that it wasn't like one boom sudden thing that happened. It just seemed to evolve over time, and I met her through a friend. And through my whole dating life before I got married, that was probably the most common scenario for me. It was meeting people either through another friend or through some kind of activity, like I was taking a class with them or worked with. I didn't date people I worked with, but some people do.
Yeah, actually, I have, and for me, it's been the same way. I've either met through a friend or a class or some kind of activity or work, or like I just mentioned with my story with Watt, I got to know him just from, I established a friendship first just, from him selling me something or trying to sell me something.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. And so I think that people have such a crazy image from Hollywood and TV, especially people from other countries. I mean, if you live here, you know the real story, but a lot of people have a crazy image. So I know that when some of my foreign students have come to America, some of them have been scared of the dating situation or confused by it because they had all these Hollywood ideas in their mind about how they thought dating was supposed to work here. But then, of course, the real situation wasn't quite like that. And so, well, I found, especially when I was teaching in a school here in San Francisco, that a lot of the foreign students were quite confused by it all. And especially the men, the boys really could have a big problem. They didn't know quite how to act.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
I think it was easier for the girls because they would meet other guys, or American guys would, chat with them, and they're a little more, I don't know if aggressive is not really the word, but the girls could sort of just, receive the attention. but the guys especially would be at a loss. They're, oh, I don't know what do American girls want. How do I date them? They had these Hollywood ideas, but that scared them because, most of them weren't that aggressive like they saw in movies. So, like, in your opinion, how did guys usually approach you? What would be the most common and or effective way for a guy to approach an American girl that he liked?
With my experience?
Yeah, in your experience, like, let me ask, like, let me be more specific. For example, did you prefer guys who just like come up to you, someone you never knew, and they're kind of, hi, how you doing, and they would just say something? Or would you prefer a guy to just kind of chat with you in a very like friendly way as a friend for a while, and maybe even for a few days?
Yeah, okay. No, if a guy ever came up to me in a bar, I usually would, I don't know, there's something kind of superficial about it. I was going to use the word cheesy, which, means there just didn't seem like there was any
meaning.
Any meaning, yeah, thank you, to it in a bar. Yeah, it just, if somebody, in the times if I've ever had someone come up to me in a bar or when I was younger and I would go to dance clubs, I figured, there's only one thing that they're looking for.
What's
A
that?
one night stand,
Yeah.
to eventually leave and go and spend the night and have sex, and then that's that. It's over. So yeah, no, I never really I don't. I would much rather a person just come up and it just naturally happen where we start talking. Maybe we're sitting together, we're sitting next to each other at a bar, and then we just start talking about whatever.
How many boyfriends did you meet at a bar? Like the first time you met them, that they just approached you at a bar?
Zero.
Ah. So how did you meet? Like, you think about the boyfriends you had, what were the common ways that you first met them?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it was usually through a friend or some kind of class, or I am someone who has dated people I've worked with, so that was also a very common way.
And
Um, or school. So, if you're in school or you're working with someone, you're getting to know them that way. And then it's easier to realize, like, wow, I like this person's personality. And then it just kind of is, you start showing some interest, and it can just, if that person is attracted to you as well, it can just naturally start to happen from there.
and by naturally, I would think like the first step is you just go do something kind of as friends. Hey, do you want to go see a movie? Do you want to go to a coffee shop? Do you want to go see a band? Do you want to do something together? And it doesn't have, you don't have to say, would you like to go on a date with me? It's much more relaxed.
Yeah, so another example is, would you want to come over and hang out tonight and
Yeah.
maybe watch a movie or something?
Right. That's right. Yes. And same for me as a guy on the other side. Just much more casual and in a way friendly almost. I mean, obviously it's a little more than friends, and you can kind of feel that, but in many ways it's in the beginning, I think, and I think this is true for most. I think it's the most common thing for most Americans is that they often then meet in a kind of more friendly, casual, relaxed thing. And in many ways, this is similar, I think, to what happens in lots of parts of the world. That it's not actually that different than many other places in the world.
Well, just like I described with Wat in Thailand. It felt very much like experiences I've had here in America.
And I know there are a few places in the world that still are, super uh, strict about dating, but I think for the most part, most of the places I've been, it actually feels quite similar to the United States. The culture might be a bit different, but I think in almost everywhere in the world, people tend to connect through friends, through family members, or through some kind of shared activity. I mean, I think that's pretty common in most places in the world, wouldn't you say?
Yes, yeah, I think so.
So in that way, if someone is wanting to date an American, maybe you want to date an American to improve your English or something. I don't know, but it's really not so different. Now, something that is different and new in the last several years is the whole thing of online dating. And I actually met my wife online, as you know, that Tamoy and I, again, though, when we met, it was not a dating site. We met as just pen pals. So Tamoy and I just met as friends first, and we wrote each other back and forth just as friends, and then things just naturally developed, and eventually I met her in Japan. But the whole online dating thing has actually changed dating a lot, I think, especially in the last several years, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Well, I didn't even realize until just the other day that you met on a pen pal site, which is obviously very different than a dating site. So neither one of you were looking to be dating anyone in the beginning, but the dating sites, I don't personally have any experience with those. I do have a friend who has done it, and she really enjoyed it. She met a lot of guys through a dating site. So I mean, I've heard I have heard good things about doing that.
Yeah, me too. I've heard of a good number of people who've had good experiences with dating sites. I mean, the nice thing is that, you know, when you get on a dating site, you know the other people are also looking to date, and you can read something a little bit about them. But I think that probably the same attitude is best, which is to be very casual about it. Don't be thinking, oh, I'm going to find my future husband or wife, and this first date is so important. You know, I think it's better just to think, oh, just maybe meet somebody nice, and maybe we'll have a relationship and it'll become serious, or maybe they'll just become a friend, and I think that seems to work better for most people.
Well, yes. I think I've heard some people say too that a dating site is nice because it kind of takes away that initial screening of a person. If you're just, you know, if two people are, let's say that they do meet in the less common way of they don't really know each other and they start going out on dates to get to know each other, they're kind of screening each other to see if you know, they're compatible, basically, if they can be together. And so on the dating site, you can do that without it being face-to-face. It takes away, I think, a lot of anxiousness that you might experience face-to-face with someone.
Yeah, it makes the initial meeting a little more relaxed, less nervous, exactly, less
Because
scary.
you already know a good bit about the person by the time you meet them, probably.
But that's one of the things I liked about meeting Tomoe, my wife, on the Pen Pal site, because it wasn't a dating site at all. It was very relaxed. We just got to know each other first without this idea in our head that, you know, we were trying to date. and that way, I think we got to know each other in a much more relaxed way. So in that sense, it was much like the other dating situations we've described, where you just get to know somebody through a friend or family member or some activity you're doing, and it sort of grows and develops a little more slowly. And that slower, natural approach is more common, and I think it's more successful. And I think that's how most people meet their serious girlfriends or boyfriends, at least, or husbands and wives in America.
Yes. Now, Joe actually is an exception to how I've met a lot of boyfriends. We actually met through a friend, and we really hit it off. We really liked each other, but we both met at this bar unexpectedly to meet up with our mutual friend, and it was when we realized we liked each other. Then he called me and we spoke on the phone, and he asked me out on a date. So it was kind of a more traditional approach. I met him then at a bar, and we started getting to really know each other. So I remember being nervous and thinking, wow, I'm not used to this. I don't know him at all. And it was, it's kind of funny. I was just talking to him about this the other day at the bar. He actually, this is our first date. He knocked into the table and our drinks almost tipped over, and I thought he was really nervous. Come to find out, he's just kind of klutzy.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. He's always knocking stuff over and hitting things accidentally. And
yeah.
Oh my God! So you found out right away the first time.
Yes.
Well, hey, let's take some Twitter questions now. So it's time for you to ask questions about dating in America, the real story of dating in America. My Twitter is AJ Hogue. So it's twitter.com/AJHOGE. Send us a question on Twitter about dating. Let's take our first one. I already wrote it down. This one is from Hong Huang, and it says, what about blind dates? Are they common, and what are they like? Have you ever been on a blind date where you had no idea who you're meeting?
I personally have not. And I don't really know of many friends, if any friends, who have. To me, blind dating is something that maybe was done, it was more common maybe in like our parents' generation, or it's even something that I see more in movies or on TV.
Yeah, I think that's one of those movie things because it's very dramatic in a movie that it creates a nice dramatic scene to have two people meet who don't know anything. It maybe they use it for comedy, so that the other person is like horrible, oh my God, I'm stuck on this date. But in real life, that's exactly why people don't want to do it. I mean, no one wants to go on a blind date because I wouldn't want to. I've never been on one either because yeah, you have no idea what the other person might be like, and if you don't like them, then you feel like you're stuck with them for a while. You don't want to be mean. So I don't think I actually know any friends who've done it either. So no, they're not. So the answer, I guess, to the question is they're not common at all.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, let's go to our next Twitter question. This is from Charlie. Good old Charlie in France. And this is one for you, I'd say.
Okay.
Give my bet. I'm probably not qualified to answer this one. What are the main turnoffs for American women? A turnoff. Let me explain a turnoff. A turnoff is something that they don't like. So to say what are turnoffs for women, it means what are things that American women don't like on a date, or even before a date.
Okay, so I can only speak about me, my personal preferences, and maybe what I know some of my friends would be turned off about, not like. One is if the person I'm on the date with, the guy, just keeps looking at my body. Seems like he's more interested in my body than what I have to say. That's a big no-no. And another one would be if he's not listening to me. I can give you a really quick story about that. It was my first or second date with Joe. We were in this little cafe, and I'm talking to him, and it seems like he's being very attentive. He's listening, and all of a sudden, there's music playing in the background. He hears a Grateful Dead song, which is one of his favorite bands, and he just kind of starts looking away and singing the song. And I was like, hello, I'm here. So he wasn't listening, and that really bothered me. And I don't know, a third one would be maybe if the guy is only talking about himself and not showing any interest in who I am and getting to know me.
Yeah, I would say from the other side of things, from what I've noticed, that those are all, yeah, I would agree with all of them. And I think a lot of times some men, American men, any country, I guess, they try too hard to impress the other person. The woman, they try to, so I'm so great, and try to say all these things about themselves. And usually that doesn't work, at least not with American women. I think American women prefer to be listened to, and often it's a better strategy to ask questions and listen more.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was so good with women. Don't tell the truth. Okay, here we go. Twitter question number 3 from Panda Be Good, the Twitter name. What about interracial dating in the United States? What's the situation with it now in America? Let me give you my opinion on that, and then, Kristen, you can give yours, if that's okay.
Yep.
So I would say, first of all, it's much, much, much better than in the past. So, when I was young, it was not common and not accepted so much, or not liked that much. But now I'd say it's very common, and I think, Kristen, you'll agree with this. It's especially common in cities. So in any fairly large city, interracial dating, meaning people dating, the couple are from different races. It's quite common and accepted now, at least in cities, and especially among more educated people. Is it always accepted by everyone? Can there still be problems? Yes, it depends on the families. But overall, I'd say society as a whole is fairly accepting of it now. What do you think?
That's what I would say too. It's definitely very common in cities, um, and smaller towns too, depending where they are in the country. And other towns you might not really see that at all. So I would say it's mainly location, and like AJ said, education to educated people.
Yep. And, we don't want to get too much into race because that's a deep and difficult subject. But I would say also it depends on the races of the people. Certainly, I think that in the United States, especially on the West Coast or in cities, a white person like myself dating or married to an Asian person, such as my wife, it's, I mean, we have no problems at all. Never had a problem. So it's fine. And for that matter, in Japan, I've never had a problem. So it doesn't seem like it's a big deal anymore. We got more questions coming in. Are you ready?
Yep.
I have to say, I find it quite funny that I'm giving dating advice. No one ever asked me for dating advice when I was younger. Okay. All right. Okay, here's a question. I'm guessing Italian? Il Maestro, right? Hi, AJ and Kristen. I first met my girlfriend on a beach. Does that usually happen in America? I mean, I guess it happens, but does it happen? I would say it's not common to meet, I don't know, what do you think?
Then again, I have heard of people meeting other, like, they're a boyfriend or girlfriend when they're on vacation, like at the beach. Yeah, I have heard of that actually. So,
yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends where you live. I guess it's not common in San Francisco because people don't go to the beach because it's too cold. But like in Hawaii, I bet it happens all the time in Hawaii.
Right. But unfortunately, too, I think what can happen is, if you don't live in the town where the beach is, you're just there on vacation, that might not work out if it's, ends up being a long-distance relationship.
Yeah, it's true. Really, so it really depends. I don't know I mean, it can happen, absolutely. I wouldn't say it's super common. It just depends on the situation, and yeah, interesting though. Okay, so let's go to our next question from Julia, also in Italia. Julia, one of our superstar members. Hi, AJ and Kristen. I woke up at 6 a.m. to listen to you. We'll try a different time next time, and so you guys don't have to wake up quite so early. But her question is, how long does a date last normally for American guys? So that's a hard question because I think there's not a typical answer, but let's say a typical date, once you actually go on a date, would be something like go out to eat dinner and then maybe to a movie, if you're going to go out. Wouldn't you say something like that?
Yeah, and like with Joe and I on our first date, we met at a bar and we each had a beer, and then we went next door to this movie theater and watched a movie. And I can't remember, but I think it was the same first date. I think it was the first date. We were getting along so well, I think that's when we went to the cafe, where I was talking about he heard the music and stopped listening to me. So it probably depends, too, on how well you're getting along. We were really getting along, so we wanted to, keep the date going.
Yeah, that's a good point. It depends. If you're getting along really well, it tends to go longer, and I'm sure this is true in most places, most countries. But if it's kind of so-so, you're not sure, then it will be shorter. And if it's really not going well, then one of you will be trying to get out quite quickly, like eat dinner and say, "Well, okay, thanks."
Right. Yeah.
So I would say it's at least gonna go an hour or two, probably, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I guess it also depends, there's kind of, at least I think of there being different levels of intensity. In other words, if I'm was wanting to be real casual and relaxed about it, maybe I wasn't sure, then maybe it would be something during the day, like go to a coffee shop. Whereas I think going to dinner seems a little more serious.
Yes.
Or feels a little more, right?
Right. Yeah, that can be. You're absolutely right, and I think you've done this before, AJ. Like you set up a date in the past where it was you went jogging together or walking together. It was in the afternoon, so it was very casual, as opposed to going to
Yeah, walking.
dinner and it being more. Yeah, walking where it was more serious. Where that would have been more serious if you'd gone to
Yeah.
dinner.
Yep. All right, good question. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one to. Okay, here it is. Marlon, EEG, asks, what is your favorite phrase to meet a girl? I guess that's asking me. And my answer is none. Again, this is very much a Hollywood thing where they always show the guy saying some clever phrase to the girl. Hi, do you come around here often? Or some clever joke or something. And does it happen? Yes. Are there certain guys who do that? Definitely. But is it the most common way, and is it the best way? No, I say not. I never did that. I was not super confident with women, especially women I didn't know. So I would never just walk up to some woman I didn't know and try to say some clever thing to them. Never, never, never. I always met people through, again, through friends or through some activity, and I just chatted with them as I would anyone else, as I would with a guy for that. I would just, hey, how are you? Just chat and get to know them. And then later, if things worked out, if I felt I liked them and maybe they liked me, then I might just invite them to do something. But it was all super casual, very, very conversational. No clever phrases, nothing like that. Those are called pickup lines. That's the idiom. A pickup line is a clever sentence or something that a man says to try to catch a girl, to impress a girl. And Kristen, I guess you already said that you didn't like it when guys tried to do that either, usually, right?
No, I don't like it. It feels fake to me. Like it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel real. So
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Here's a question that men have been asking for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. So we're going to settle it right now.
What is it?
Here we go. From Programmer 63, a question I asked many times as a youth. Why do women always prefer the troubled bad boy men? Why do they like bad boys, Kristen? Tell us.
I
All
don't
those
know.
nice guys out there, help them out. Come on.
Honestly, what I think it might be is, and maybe this is a huge generalization, but maybe a nice guy comes across as not being confident, and a woman wants a guy to be confident.
That would be my answer, too.
Yeah, and a bad boy can come across as being confident.
That's right. It's not that I agree with you too. I don't think it took me years and years to figure this out, because girls will never actually tell you this directly, So it took a lot of trouble to figure out what you just said. But that's what it's all about: confidence. It's not about them being bad, and a lot of them aren't even really confident, which is why they are so troubled and messed up. But they appear confident. They at least have an act where they're strong and tough, and it's that confidence that's attractive to people in general. But to women in a dating situation, they see, oh, this guy's confident.
Yes.
So it's not necessary for a nice guy to become a jerk. And it's not because the guys are jerks. It's because they're confident. And exactly, a lot of nice guys are shy and maybe they're not so confident, especially with women or in those kind of social situations. And that's what you have to work on, is becoming a confident communicator with your non-verbal language, especially how you move and act. Any more thoughts on that?
No, I think you said it pretty well. Yeah.
Years of pain to figure that out. I mean, I feel for guys who are nice and maybe more shy, more geeky. Geeky means, intelligent but not so social. Because I was like that. That's exactly what I was like, and I became more and more confident over many years and in general in many parts of my life. But it was a process of training myself and teaching myself, getting experience with women, but really and also life experience and overcoming challenges and a lot of things. And I did much better dating as I got older than when I was young. When I was young, I was terrible. So so that's the answer. So instead of complaining, it's not that you don't need to become a bad guy. It's certainly not. It's the confidence. So you can be a confident, nice guy. Sometimes it takes training and time. That's all.
Yep. There's so much we could go on with about dating. I think that we could actually have more of these talk shows about dating.
I think we could too. I think that dating and relationships are quite interesting, and they're very cultural. So if there are things that are universal, things that are true in most or all countries, but then there are also unique things to each culture or country. And it would be interesting to keep talking about these topics sometime. So we'll come back to the topic of dating and relationships again in some future episodes. I agree. That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, I guess it's time to finish up. So thanks, Kristen.
Yeah, thank you.
As always, you're listening to the Real English, Real America show. Go to learnrealenglish.com to get our Real Conversations course. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time, maybe about dating. I'm not sure. We'll think of another topic. If you have a topic that you have a question about that you're interested in, then get on my Twitter account and suggest it to us. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode. So again, it's learnrealenglish.com to get our courses. See you next time. Bye for now. Bye, Kristen.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.